Alright, so you've downloaded the program design template and now you want to know how to use it. The good news is I'm about to show you. It's really straightforward, it's not too complicated. You start off, you put your name in and your numbers. My numbers are obviously a lot bigger than this, but put in whatever numbers you want to put in. So for me, if I was doing it, it'd be 245, 160, 270, 2.5. And then it populates the spreadsheet automatically. So because of the way the rounding works, and because I don't know Excel well enough to put in rounding numbers, you may have a few like odd numbers here, like 208.25. Simply take it to the number that makes the most sense. So in this case, it would be 207.5 or 210. So I'd use probably 207.5 in this scenario. What you'll see each day is that there's a primary focus. So on day 1, the primary focus is squat. On day 2, the primary focus is bench. On day 3, the primary focus is deadlift. And then on each day, there's some assistance work as well. So you got 3 squatting movements, a bench movement, and an upper back movement. 3 benching movements, a deadlift movement, and an upper back movement, and then 3 deadlifting movements, a bench movement, and a upper back movement. As you'll see, it's quite low on squat volume compared to deadlift and bench, simply because most people will respond better to low squat volume initially, and then as they get more advanced, we can ramp it up. So this is really targeted at beginner and intermediate lifters. We need to adjust the volume upwards for more advanced guys who are hitting, 400 Wilks and above. So the great thing about this template is that, number one, the main movement is progressive week on week. So, this should automatically calculate all the way through. So you've got like heavier weights in week 2, heavier weights in week 3, and then a ramp up in week 4. When you look at your assistance movements, so your B's, your C's, your D's, and your E's, they're all fully modifiable. So there's a movement list over here. Don't touch it or don't do anything with it because you'll break the list. It should be locked, so you shouldn't be able to diddle with it even if you want. From there, what you do is you pick the movements that are going to impact your lift the most. So I've already populated this based off of my experience with lifters in the gym, in competition, and on online programs as well. And I've used lifts that most people can do, or you can just Google pretty easily to get an answer, and they'll have a massively beneficial effect on your training. So if you want to change any of them because you don't have the equipment, or you're not comfortable doing them, or you have a lift that you know drives up your main lift, then you can use that instead. So like if you didn't want to do a pause squat and you wanted to do a high bar squat instead, you just drag and drop. Currently the sheet isn't linked, so any changes you make in week 1 won't flow to week 2. Week 2, you'll have to do those changes yourself, but in some updated versions, it probably will link together. So you got pause squats, lunges, feet up, bench press. Again, the feet up can change to any one of these variations, but I recommend you pick these ones to start and see how you get on with them. The training is pretty straightforward. In week 1, you're doing 2 sets of 10. In week 2, you're doing 3 sets of 10. In week 3, you're doing 4 sets of 10. Then in week 4, you back off a little bit ahead of another training cycle. So like let's say the D's. The D's are probably where you're going to get a little bit of confusion. So on the D, you'll see that there's a 12 rep max. So one set of a 12 rep max. A 12 rep max is something you could do for 12 reps, but probably not 13 and certainly not 14. So if you do work up to a number and you could have done 15 reps on it, then you need to go again and find something heavier to get you into that 12 rep range. Once you have that weight, you keep it for the next 2 sets and you do between 8 and 10 reps. Same story with the stiff leg deadlift. You find a 12 rep max weight, you keep it for the next 2 sets, and you do 2 sets of 8 to 10 reps, and same story with close grip bench. On week 2, it changes to a 10 rep max. On week 3, it changes to an 8 rep max. And on week 6 or week 4, it changes to a 6 rep max. So the weight will be increasing each week. Now, you can take notes on this as well as you go, so that you know what's happening in your training and you know how you feel. In week 2, the volume increases slightly, so we got 3 sets. And in week 3, it goes up again to 4 sets. What I recommend is that you try to keep around the same weight in week 1, 2, and 3. Maybe increasing it slightly, but focusing more on getting your volume done and focusing more on shortening your rest and recovery periods. So if any of the rest and recoveries outside of the A's here, so in this case, anything outside of A and D, so that is B, C, and E, if you have to rest for more than 60 to 90 seconds between sets, the weight's too heavy. This is designed as a preparation cycle, as an accumulation cycle. The idea is it builds muscle, it builds mass, and it builds a foundation. If you're resting too long, you'll never get there. So on A and D, rest as long as you need. But on B, C, and E, you want to take no more than 60 to 90 seconds between each lift. Then in week 4, what you'll see is a ramp up. So you got 85, 90, 95%. So up to like a near max single just to see how the weights are feeling. And then you've got an AMRAP. So as many reps as possible. This number then, as you'll see in the sheet later on down, will recalculate your squat, bench, and deadlift max to give you estimated numbers for the next phase of training. Remember, these are all done with technical perfection and technical excellence, because if you let anything break down, then the numbers you get off of it will be skewed. So if on the deadlift you're doing an AMRAP and your back starts to round off, I don't care if you could have pulled 2 or 3 more reps with shit technique, you've hit technical breakdown, you stop there, you move on with your training session. With the pause squats, with the lunges, and with the face pulls, so with the B, C, and E, on all of the days, what you'll see is it's just one set of 5 reps at your week 3 weight. So whatever weight you used the previous week, you're only doing a single set of 5 reps just to get the movements done and to go through some ranges of motion. It's not meant to be heavy, it's meant to be recovery based. And then your Ds go heavier again, but you've only got one back off set. So a 6 rep max plus one set of 4 to 5 reps at your 6 RM. When you see this video, you won't actually see it here at the moment because it's not there. You'll get a recalculation number for some estimated squat, bench press, and deadlift maxes to give you an idea of your progress over the previous 4 weeks. Any questions on how it works or any questions on what to do, just hit me up and I'll happily answer them.